Welcome back to Florida Powerboat Club on YouTube. Stu Jones here with continuing coverage of the Nortec 390 500 build. A very exciting project for all of us here at Florida Powerboat Club and for Team Nortec, and we call the boat the King of Clubs. We're going to call this episode the Rig Shop. And we all know in boat building world that means a whole bunch of stuff happening at the same time, and that's really how this show's going down. So before we get started, let's thank our Nortec 390 500 industry partners. Our primary build partners on the 390 500 include Nortec High Performance Boats, headquartered in Cape Coral, Florida, as well as Mercury Racing with headquarters in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And we'd like to thank these additional partners, including Myco Trailers, JL Audio, Superior Communications Inc., Garmin Marine Division, Keystone Brothers, Marine Customs, Lumishore, Marine Guardian, Coast Key, Shoreshade, Freedom Medical and Marine Solutions, and Reverso Pumps. So let's just recap on the previous episode. We were at also the rig shop, but that's what we call the 340 rig shop. That's where a lot of the Nortec 340s get rigged, at least with the hanging the motors and some of the heavy duty rigging. But all of the boats, every Nortec, whether it's a 34, 39, 400, or any of the bigger models, are all going to end up here at the rig shop in Cape Coral. And this building is an extension of one of the original buildings that Nortec owned over 30 years ago. So a lot of boat building has been done right here. This building was built in 2019. It's 50,000 square feet, and as many as 25 boats can be rigged simultaneously, and that's any model of boat. And if you're ever here and you just see the amount of work that's going on at one time, it's mind-boggling to me, showing really the full range of production capabilities that Team Nortec has here. But right now it's all about the King of Clubs and our Nortec 390 500 project, which has recently come over from the other shop, and now it's going to be finished off with a lot of the soft goods. Of course, that means literally soft goods would be all the cockpit and interior, and eventually the decking product that's going to be installed by Marine Customs, and then a whole bunch of component parts and electronics that are going to go into the boat as well. So let's get started and focus on what I think is the biggest part of this job, and the heavy lifting really happened here in the upholstery shop, and that was the fabrication of the entire interior for the boat. Kevin Lane really stepped up to the plate and walked me through this whole process, and it was, it goes back to our original meeting in the early days when I said I wanted to do something kind of cool with the interior, and Kevin came back to me and said, why don't we do some quilting or stitching when we do the quilting for the seats? And I said I wanted to do a King of Clubs theme with some clubs and diamonds and hearts, and he said, great, let's do it. And that is exactly how it got started. Kevin introduced me to his team in the upholstery shop that actually programmed the quilting machine. Up came the hearts and clubs and diamonds and spades and different colors, of course. And the fabric that we're using was provided by Keystone Brothers. They were a big player in this. They supplied all of the fabric for the interior, and that included the Fresco, which is a spraddling product. Keystone Brothers is a distributor for spraddling. But the main reason that we went to Keystone Brothers is because they carry the Alcantara product. And Alcantara, as we all know, is a very widely popular upholstery product in motorsports in general, not just boats, but also for exotic cars. And it seems that a lot of the boaters have taken to Alcantara in recent years. The Fresco product was used for the stitching of the design that we wanted to have, and that's a very rugged vinyl, so that's where we're going to have most of the seat surfaces and any of the areas that are going to get the most amount of use. Then we use the Alcantara for more of the highlights. You'll still have a lot of places where you'll come in contact with the Alcantara. Of course, it's very soft on the hands. That's really what makes this boat so comfortable, and I think that's the goal here, is to have a really comfortable but aesthetically pleasing boat that's got a lot of style and flair. They really gave me the opportunity to be involved in the entire process. And for me, this was the most important part, like getting the interior done right. But watching them actually build the seats, from going to the carpenter shop where they build all the frames and the flat sections, and then going into the foam shop where they cut and sculpt all of the foam seats and bolsters. Then, of course, the material gets applied, and then next thing you know, you've got a completely finished interior. It's exciting to see all that come together, especially when you had played some part in terms of the design. So when it does come together and you see it going into the boat, It's amazing, and when everything's in place, the finished product is absolutely amazing the first time you set eyes to it. So let's turn the conversation away from the soft goods for a moment and more towards the electronics. My boat was experimental in terms of the new Empire bus system from Garmin, and this was the first Nortec that was ever built with the Empire bus. The best part, though, is that the end user, the driver, is the one who reaps the benefit of this new system. So far, I haven't had any major problems, and it allows me to do everything right from my Garmin screens, either screen at any given time, and I think that's just an amazing technology feat to be able to make something with this much technology and that's so easy to use. Okay, we're going to change gears here and get back to the decking. Marine Customs is in Melbourne, Florida. We started using Ryan and his team about 4 or 5 years ago. They have since done a lot of work on Florida Powerboat Club boats, as well as a lot of the leading manufacturers in our sport. Now, as far as how we did our treatments on the Nortec, it really wasn't anything outrageous. It was standard flooring with two-tone, gray-black, and of course we put the Nortec logo into the floors. But what I decided to do that was kind of raising it up a notch was the complete decking around all of the gunnels and extending all the way to the bow, including the anchor locker and the hatch. But then Ryan suggested that we might be able to do a few other improvements, and I wanted to have a raised helm position, and that's exactly what he came up with, was a 2-inch foam pad that I could stand on. I'm 5'10", so I'd like to be a little bit higher at the helm. Jackie saw the same thing, and she said, well, I like to have one in the back because I like riding in the rear bolster. So we made another one. This one we made a little bit thicker. I think it's closer to 4 inches. And Jackie absolutely loves it because it does give her a raised standing position so she can then see over the bow as well. Well, guys, by now we have pretty much a finished boat. But in the meantime, remember, we do need a trailer to pull this boat around. Of course, we've gone to our friends at Myco Trailers in Bradenton, Florida. So for our next episode, we'll do a full build feature on the Myco trailer, triple axle aluminum trailer with a lot of features. It's all right here on our YouTube channel as we continue coverage of our Nortec 390 500. That's right, the 500th Nortec 390 ever built. We call it the King of Clubs. Glad you could join us here on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you'll get an update every time our new episode is released. Bye for now.